So when I say regenerative agriculture, like if a farmer or a producer or a rancher, if they can minimize the cost of their inputs and be more profitable, why not do it? That's really what regenerative agriculture is about to me, is making it more profitable to the farmer and producer.
Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go. I know we have a number of you listeners who are solo entrepreneurs or you own your own creative or professional business. You don't want a full-time or a part-time job, but you're always on the hunt for new clients and customers. And that's easier said than done, which is why we created the directory. It's a place where entrepreneurs and businesses just like you can be found by those who are looking for your skills and services. Whether you are a photographer, a graphic designer, a business consultant, a marketing agency, a virtual assistant, an event speaker, an event planner, a lawyer, a bookkeeper, an accountant, you can see where I'm going with this, right? As long as you have a business that's based in the ag and Western industries, then you're a fit to be listed on the directory. There's a section where you can tell who you are and what you do. You can share your work portfolio or customer testimonials. You can add the specific platforms and programs that you're a wizard in. Those profiles that we have are really, really robust because we want people to be able to easily search and find what they're looking for, which is YOU. All in all, the directory is a great way to get in front of your ideal customer or client and a new audience that you maybe wouldn't have reached before because they're outside of your inner circle of who can mention your name in those word of mouth recommendations. If you're ready to create your profile on the directory, you can go to ofthewest.co to get started. That is ofthewest.co. You guys will love it. Trust me. Welcome, you guys. We are back with a brand new episode of Leaders of the West this week. You're going to love this. That's probably not saying much because selfishly, I love all of our episodes. But today's episode, incredibly special. This is our first ever husband and wife duo that we've had on the show. We're sitting down with Ladd and Zoey Wahlen. They are Eastern Idaho farmers. They raise potatoes. They focus on regenerative agriculture. But what is also unique about them is they are also the founders of Roots Chips. The potatoes that they raise specifically go into their potato chip company. You could buy their potato chips online. You can find them in stores all across the Northwest. They do have a store finder on their website, which they will share with you guys at the end of the show. Roots Chips are amazing. If you have not eaten them, I am obsessed with them. Obviously, as an Idaho potato girl, I feel like I am an aficionado at all things potato, including potato chips. And these are amazing because there are only 3 ingredients: potatoes, avocado oil, salt. That is literally it. So as far as a potato chip is concerned, they are pretty dang healthy, which who doesn't love that? But in this interview, we talk a lot about how they had the idea of Roots Chips and how they were able to grow that side of the business and how they're also able to manage the potato operation and also the potato chip operation. Because as you can imagine, when you get to a point like they are now, these are 2 full-time businesses. They have 4 kids, so they are incredibly busy, which so many of us can relate to. They've got a lot of irons in the fire, and what they are producing is absolutely excellent. So there is a lot that we can learn from Ladd and Zoey. And with that, we're going to get right into the episode. Let's welcome the Wahlens. Ladd, Zoey, I am so thankful that you guys have decided to sit down and share some time with us today. You guys are also fellow Idahoans, which I am super excited about. I have also been a fan of Roots Chips for a while. I actually can buy them in my own little grocery store in town, which I am absolutely jacked about. These that I have here are the red sea salt. I'd never tried these before, but I was eating them before you guys hopped on and they're absolutely amazing. So hats off to you guys. But there's a lot to talk about today. Obviously, making your own chips, the regenerative side of what you guys do. To get into things, because you guys, this is also the first time that we've ever had a husband and wife on the show before together. Can you tell us just a little bit about your story of agriculture and how you guys have gotten started?
Yeah. So Ladd and I are both from Idaho, small town Idaho, opposite side of the state. we met and we got married, moved to the farm. I didn't grow up in agriculture. Ladd did. He's fourth generation potato farmer. I fell in love with our farming life and agriculture. And after years of farming, Ladd came to me and said that he wanted to start a potato chip company. And I was like, hold up. I don't even like potato chips. I like healthy food. But yeah, we started this potato chip company, Roots Chips, and I am so proud of it. I love it so much. We're using potatoes straight from our farm. We're using avocado oil, good for you ingredients. And I never thought at this point in my life I would be so passionate about agriculture and potato chips.
Don't let her fool you. There was quite a bit of persuasion too. She didn't just come to the farm willy-nilly. There was a little bit of persuasion there, but she loves it now and she's a great asset and she contributes a lot to our family, to the farm, to the business, everything.
Oh, well, I bet that you guys make quite the duo. So, Ladd, you grew up on your family's operation. I'm assuming you came back there, you said that you were farming, and then one day you came to Zoey and said, hey, not only do I want to grow potatoes, I think we need to make the chips. How did you get to that decision? What kind of led up to that? Because I can imagine it wasn't just I woke up one day and had this dream to make potato chips. There was probably a lot more that went into it than just that.
Actually, it was just a dream. No, I'm just kidding. There was a lot more. There was a lot more that went into it. To start, it's a pretty loaded question, but like, for example, like for producers, for farmers and ranchers, like you're very familiar with this, but commodity markets just fluctuate so often. It's very hard to run a profitable farming or ranching operation. Super difficult because you're always susceptible to the volatility of the markets and commodity prices and everything like that. But the concept of vertical integration, which was one of the few things that I learned at college, was vertical integration and the importance of it. So for example, for us, where we grow a couple different commodities, potatoes is one of them. So vertical integration would be the opportunity for us to take our raw product of potatoes, or if it was, somebody that was growing alfalfa or corn or wheat or whatever it is, and turn that into a value add commodity and then be able to maintain that cost that the processor gets and be able to sell directly to the distributor, the consumer and stuff like that. So basically, we just wanted to be a little more have a little more less risk on our farm. And so the opportunity for a potato chip company just seemed like an ideal fit for us because we already grow potatoes. Why not process them? We can target kind of more of a unique niche, type of people, a better for you type product. So that was really our thinking behind it, is we want to ensure, that the farm is successful for generations to come, and we want to be less exposed to the volatility of the market. So why not process some of our own potatoes? And so that was kind of the genesis and how it started. And we've done it for about 4 years, and it's just grown pretty significantly every year.
Well, that it has, because I will say I have known of Roots Chips for a number of years now. But it was always something that I had to go by when I was in Boise, right? When I was at Albertsons. But we have a little mercantile in town and they carry your chips. And it is so cool to now be able to, instead of having to drive an hour away, I can drive 5 miles into town and find them there as well. But I know that you had mentioned the good for you ingredients. But one of the things that really makes your potato operation unique is you guys are also really focused on what is good for the earth as far as the regenerative side. I feel like that's a hard word for me to say. So if I stumble over that, you guys, for our listeners too, right? That's kind of a tongue twister, but it's a big part of what you do. Has that always been a big part of your operation? Is that also something kind of like the chips that has been a newer thing for you guys? Tell me about that.
Yeah, when we finished up college in 2012, like one of my research papers was on using a cover crop in order to suppress nematodes in potato production. So just stuff like that. So basically using a natural crop to suppress, a disease, nematode, instead of using, chemical means. So just kind of starting with that just really opened up my eyes to the possibilities of alternative uses or natural approaches to agriculture. And so that was kind of the start of it. And it just slowly grew year after year. When we came home from college, we farmed with my dad for a couple of years. And then we decided to start our own farms, our own separate farm operation. And then Roots Potato Chips came after that. But ever since we started our own farm operation, we've been implementing all the different aspects of regenerative agriculture, whether that's, covering the soil, diversity, integrating animals in our rotation, diverse root systems, composting using biological amendments and stuff like that. So that's kind of where it started. And then it's a big part of our story. And it's part of what sets us unique too is, consumers today, they love to connect with the consumer and know how their food was grown and know the farmer. They don't want to just have like a nameless and faceless brand, at least in our experience. And so if we can provide a better for you product and have transparency and be able to link it back to the farm, show people our agricultural practices, I think there's just a huge benefit there to connect with the consumer and let them be directly connected to the farm and the food. And I feel like that's the direction that consumers are going. And so we want regenerative agriculture to be a big part of our story and our connection with the consumer.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I think too, going back to the importance of sharing that story, not only is it great for you and your family specifically that you are able to tell that story of how you are growing the potatoes and you're harvesting them and you're making the chips and then the chip goes right to the consumer, right? But I also think that overall for agriculture as a whole, just knowing that farmers are connected to the food source, right? Like that still in itself is great for agriculture. Really, even if they go buy another brand of chip, it's still like it is helping agriculture. And I know that you guys see it as like a rising tide lifts all ships. I think that now more than ever before, we need more connection and transparency and trust between consumers and agriculture. And any way that we can make that happen is absolutely incredible.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're very farmer focused. So like obviously we want people to know that we're a farmer owned brand and we encourage people to support farmer owned brands too. Cause like you said, that transparency and traceability aspect and just to directly support farmers because like I said, there's lots of family farms disappear every year just due to financial burdens and circumstances and whatnot. But if you're able to directly support a farmer and know your farmer, there's so much potential economic benefit and benefit for the consumer too, because they know more about their food. They can source it, locally or closer to them. And it's just a win-win situation for everyone.
No, it definitely is. Okay, so on the potato side of things, you guys have a number of different varieties that you grow. Here I have the red sea salt. For those of you who are listening, obviously you can't see this, but we've all seen a red potato. This is a red potato chip. I know that you guys have purple as well. There's also a traditional potato that we're all very familiar with. Prior to the potato chip set of things, were you growing red potatoes and purple potatoes? Or did that come along after you decided, hey, let's go all in and make our own chips too?
Yeah, so we've tried a variety of things on our farm prior to the chips. Fingerlings.
Yep.
Tried fingerlings, dipped our toes in a few other varieties. But when we started the chips, we planted specifically certain varieties where we use a chipper potato for our flavors. And we have barbecue, jalapeno, sea salt and vinegar, and the sea salt, and then purple that you mentioned is a purple potato and the red potato. Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite? Everybody has a favorite. I know we don't have a favorite child, but we all totally do.
We have a favorite.
Right? So what?
Jalapeno is my favorite. I just love it.
And vinegar for me. I'm a tangy guy. I like vinegar.
Okay. I have to say, I've literally never had a red potato chip until I had these. And these might be a new favorite. I love a purple potato just in general. Like I love to cook a purple potato because, again, they're so unique and I think they taste good. So those are also my favorite. Now we kind of have a little bit of everything here. Okay, going back to the regenerative side, I feel like that has kind of been a buzzword lately. Obviously, there are true regenerative practices. There are a lot of people out there who are maybe just using that word and they're not necessarily implementing all that is. So is there a misconception about regenerative farming that you wish more people understood or anything in that? Because I always love getting this perspective because I do think that it is kind of like the new buzzword and it's going to be on labels. And do consumers really know what it means or do other people in the industry even know what it means? But there are people like you guys who are actively implementing those types of practices in your farm.
Yeah, I think a big misconception is, at least from the agricultural point of view, is that it's only for crunchy farmers or the woo-woo farmers. But I feel like it's something that there's practices that can be implemented on any farm and farmers are going to see improvement in their soil health. On our farm, we're full in implementing lots of practices, really focusing on soil health.
Exactly. Just to echo like what she said too, it's very contextual too. So like, I don't ever want a farmer to think that we think we're doing better than them, because farmers in general, it's super honorable profession. Feeding the world, is just an awesome thing, and they're all doing great. And I think a lot of farmers too, part of the misconception is a lot of farmers are probably already implementing some of these things in certain ways, and maybe they're just not very familiar with it. And they're like, hey, we've been doing that for generations. I'm like, you probably have. So
yeah, you didn't know there was a word for it.
yeah, you just didn't know there was a word for it. Exactly. So we've had like so many conversations. We currently run a model potato regenerative farm with the Nature Conservancy. So we have lots of field days, and we have the opportunity to speak with other producers and talk about it a little bit as well. But regenerative looks very different for, a potato farm in Idaho versus, a cattle ranch in Idaho versus a soybean farm in the Midwest versus the Texas desert in grazing, whatever it is. It just looks so different. So the principles are the same, but the way that you apply them is very different. So I think, like Zoe said, any producer can implement a lot of these practices, but the context of it, it's very contextual, and it depends where you're at, how you can implement them. It depends on your geography and so many other things, your climate. It's something that anybody can do, and they probably are already doing a lot of it. But a lot of it comes down to like data and tracking and see what's working and what's not working, and be able to modify and adapt and change.
Well, and data is a huge thing, even when you are, a farmer or a rancher. It's not just playing in the dirt and planting things and harvesting them. A lot of data and metrics and, numbers go into running a business and a farm and a ranch or whatever it may be. At the end of the day, they are a business. And in order to be profitable, you do have to be very familiar with those numbers. So as far as going back to the chips side of things, I can imagine that although Ladd says that this was just an overnight idea, even though we know it wasn't, probably wasn't that easy to take Roots chips from an idea to a real product. Obviously, there is infrastructure that is required in making chips. I can't imagine that just popped up overnight. So how exactly did you guys, after you decided, okay, we are all in, we are going to become potato chip makers, what was the next step?
Yeah. So when we first had the idea, we decided to do a proof of concept. So we were working in a kitchen in Boise, hours away from us, small commercial kitchen. We went there making as many chips as we could. While we were there, we were selling in a few local stores around us. And then COVID came and shut down everything. So we didn't have this commercial kitchen available to us. So we decided, okay, let's do this. It's selling. There's a need for this product. Let's go in. So we built a small production line shop right on the farm and went from there. We've had so many challenges. We didn't know what we were doing. We've never done food production before. I feel like we've hit so many hurdles.
Yeah, there's so much to it that we just didn't know. And we didn't have a ton of people to network with that had done this before. I mean, we have tons of people to network in the farming world, but as far as like processing and adding value, no. So there was so much that we had to learn. There was mistakes that we do. So I think if somebody wants to do a value-added product, that's awesome. And they should do it, especially if it's your passion. But if you can find a mentor or somebody that can help guide you a little bit, it'll get you light years ahead. And we would really encourage that. But the biggest challenges, in addition to what she said, outside of infrastructure, is just learning everything, all the back end stuff. So processing, operation, marketing, sales, distribution, just stuff that we had zero experience in. And we just kind of dove into it and learned as we went, and we made mistakes and whatnot. But that's just how you have to do it sometimes to learn how to do it. And now we know how to do it. But at first it was very difficult, and we made mistakes, and just the learning curve is very steep, and there's lots of opportunities for failure there. So that's why I would definitely encourage somebody to use a mentor, because it's very possible, if you got a good product, a good story, and good feedback, find a mentor that can help you, really achieve your goals and avoid some of those muddy puddles that we stepped in.
Yeah. And one of the big hurdles that we found in the first year was distribution, just getting our products to people and learning how that worked. We started local, and we hired, someone to drive a box van to the stores and do deliveries. And a lot of times he wasn't showing up. So we were doing those deliveries. And then we wanted to expand to Boise. So we sold my car and got a 14-passenger van so that we could take all the rows out and still have 3 car seats, because we have 4 kids now, but we had 3 then that they're all young. So I was going every other week to Boise with a big van full of chips. And like looking back, like it was so crazy. Where we are now, looking back, we can laugh, but while we're in it, it was just, it's still so much work, but that first year was a lot. Yeah.
Well, and at the time, again, because you've never done it, you don't necessarily know anything different. I think that there is Ladd, I think what you say about a mentor is absolutely crucial. And we talk a lot about the importance of mentorships and finding people who you can tell your big wild ideas to and really like allow them to help those grow within you. But I think too about how there has to be a little bit of like naiveness when it comes to going into a business, because if you knew all of the steps that were necessary to do it before you did it, there's no way you would ever actually jump in. You'd say, oh, that's a lot of work. Oh, that's too much. But the fact that you are a little bit dumb, and dumb is not the right word, but like you don't know what you don't know, right? Like that's the only reason that we all ever say like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. Because then you jump all in and you're like, oh, wait a minute. And it's too late now. I can't like sink or swim.
Yes. And that's so true. And we're passionate about it. We love it. So that's going to take you through the lows and get you to the highs. If you have a passion, you really like it, you enjoy doing it. That's why I think it definitely has to be something you're passionate about. But there's so many hiccups, like you said, on the way that I think if you could really forecast that and have foresight of it, a lot of people probably wouldn't do it. But just, having that passion and wanting to do it and that ethic, I think that'll get you through some of those humps, like you said, and get you where you need to be.
So one of the things that I want to ask you guys about is how you, and I hate the word balance, right? But how do you balance it all? Because in theory, these are 2 separate businesses that have to work simultaneously with one another. Obviously, we know farming is March through November, we'll say, right? But potato chips, in order to meet supply and demand, that has to be something that is running 5 days a week, every week of the year. So how exactly are you guys able to manage those 2 different pieces? Because I'm sure, Ladd, you're probably going to start groundwork and planting, and then you'll like that side is super busy and the chips still need to be made. So how exactly do you guys manage those 2 very different yet similar things?
The long answer short is we don't. I feel like there's a lot of plates that drop. And like you said, it is 2 full-time businesses. The chips are full-time, the farm's full-time. We have 4 small kids. We're homeschooling, we're running these businesses. We just have to be really intentional with our time. Today, we're laughing about and talking about how we have some really good employees now. And it's been awesome to have a little more freedom from like being there all the time. And I was saying exactly 4 years, look back and remember when it was just me and Ladd making chips all day, trying to get it going. So I feel like where we've come is far, but there's still that time aspect that, there's never enough time in the day, but we have to be really intentional with our time. And some things are always falling and then you're catching up on other things. So don't think we have it all together, because we don't.
Yeah. And I completely agree with everything she just said. Like balance is a tricky word. Like there's times, like I don't love the word balance. Like you said, Jesse, it's not my favorite word, because I like personally, and maybe that's from growing up on a farm too, because like growing up on a farm, there's seasons of peak demand and then seasons of like relaxation, depending on what you're doing. So like there's certain times, especially when you grow a new business and like you're bootstrapped and it requires a lot of time and money and resources. Like that's like your baby. That's just where you spend all your time. But the hope is to get to a point of balance, or more so like teeter on the other side, to where it doesn't require demand so much of your time and attention and resources and stuff like that. But we do try to be intentional about certain things now where maybe now we're starting to get a little more flexibility.
No, and I think that definitely hiring is a huge element of that in really allowing businesses to continue to scale, and they do have to operate without you at some point. Otherwise, it's not necessarily a business. It's always going to be kind of a hobby. If a business can't operate without you, then what happens if something happens to you?
It's just a job.
Your business is obviously not going to run itself. So I think that is absolutely a very, very important part about how that can help those businesses grow. What have you found in hiring out of curiosity? I always love to ask people these types of questions, since considering that's what Of the West does is, help people in the hiring side when it comes to ag. So what have you guys found when it comes to hiring, or like what key pieces do you think were the most helpful as far as the types of people to hire that have really moved your business forward? Because we know not necessarily all jobs are equal as far as you could hire somebody in sales, or you could hire somebody in production, or you could hire a personal assistant, but all three of those roles are going to maybe move the needle in a different way, right? So I'm curious to get your thoughts.
That's a great question. So, we've had quite a bit of experience with this over the past couple of years, and you do a great job with your platform and whatnot and connecting people with employees and employers. And I think that's awesome what you do. There's been times where we've struggled, especially when we were first starting, and we really just had a lot of part-time jobs and whatnot. But now we have such a good key group, and our potato chip company is still very relatively small. So we employ 16 people there outside of ourselves, but we just have a really good group right now that is good. They're dedicated, and we just have a good, balance there. People enjoy being there. They understand the story and the passion that we have behind it. So we all get along really well. And I came home from lunch today, and one of the ladies there made me some spicy pork tacos, and I gave one to Zoe, and they were so good. So there's a lot of good vibes there, and they're happy with it. So I feel like if it's a good atmosphere for employees, it's great. But, farming is a struggle finding, people that want to do farm work, because a lot of it is manual labor, and that's understandable. Not a lot of people love to do manual labor these days. Behind farming, I feel like food production is right there too, because a lot of people, same thing, food production is a lot of manual labor. It's long hours and stuff like that. So it's not super conducive or attractive to people. So it's hard to find and maintain people. Now we have most of our people there have been there for over 3 years. I think that's in part to, just having a good relationship and a good atmosphere there, and that something that people enjoy. And plus, they take home so many free chips all the time from bad bags and stuff. So they're always happy about that.
Christmas bonus? Oh, free chips. Honestly, though, that says a lot about the two of you and your leadership. And like you said, the passion about your business and finding people who are just as passionate about it as you are. That is a recipe for success. And then being great leaders and really, working to create a strong company culture. Those really are kind of the secrets, which are not secrets, but that is really like what it takes to build that foundation in, creating good employee relationships and taking it to the next step. Okay, I know we're going to wrap things up here. What has been the most unexpected challenge that you guys have faced when it comes to running a farm and a consumer packaged goods business? I was going to say, maybe do you each have one?
We kind of touched on it a lot, and I guess I should have expected this, but just the time, having enough time to do it all and make it all work.
You mean you don't have a clone?
No. And it's been fun doing social media. I do all our social media and connecting there and trying to really connect the consumer with the farmer. We share tons about our farm on there, but that takes a lot of time too. And that was unexpected. Yeah, just trying to figure out the different roles that are needed and which one of us takes over what and who wears what hat and what day.
Yeah, and I was going to say what was unexpected for me was probably computer work. Like, I've never loved doing tons of computer work, but I'm still very involved in like documentation of our potato chip plant and food safety and stuff like that. So I spend quite a bit more time doing that back end stuff that, we just haven't fully been able to pass on to somebody else. So I didn't realize I'd be spending so much time doing that, because I really enjoy the outside and farming, but I spend a lot of time doing computer work too. So I got good blue light glasses to be safe.
Those are definitely helpful. No, Zoe, I'm glad you brought that up as far as social media goes, because you guys do an incredible job at Reels.
Thank you.
They are hilarious. Ladd, hats off to you, because you go all in there. And I'm sure it's not something that you love, and Zoe has to kind of twist your arm. So you're a great sport. Zoe, keep up the good work, because I really do enjoy when I get to see you guys online, and you guys do always have great reels. But speaking of that, while we're on the topic, where can people find you at online?
Yeah, so our website is just rootschips.com, and we have chips for sale on there. We also have a store locator page on there if you're wanting to find a local store, see if our chips are there. And then we're most active on Instagram. It's just Roots Chips on Instagram. We're on TikTok, a little bit on YouTube. We need to be more on there. And please find us. We'd love to have you come see our farm on social media.
Yeah. And then as far as the chips, because again, we don't record video, so you guys are going to have to listen to this. But there are, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 sizes. So there's the bag I have here in front of me is 1.5 ounce. So it's like a snack size bag, right? Like a little bag that you'd find in a gas station. And then you also have a 6 ounce bag or 8 ounce bag that is going to be more of like the traditional size of a bag of chips. So there's 2 different options, and those are available in all flavors. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. We have those 2 sizes. Yeah. And that smaller 1.5 ounce it's perfect with a sandwich or for a little snack. I always feel like it's just the right amount of chips. And then our bigger bag, yep, is for sharing. And our kids are always
more for your
carrying
family.
those big bags around like their snack bags. They call them their chippies.
Chippies. I love that. No, and they are, because the ingredients, Idaho red potatoes for these specifically, avocado oil, sea salt. There's 3 ingredients. If you're somebody who is trying to avoid seed oils, obviously avocado oil is a great substitute for that. They're amazing. You guys have to go find some. We'll do a giveaway. If you guys share the episode in your stories, share your favorite part of today's episode, tag Of the West, obviously tag Roots Chips. We will pick a winner. We'll get with you and we will send you some Roots Chips bags straight off the Roots Chips website. So Of the West is going to take care of that. But before we get to any of that, we have to go through the rapid fire round, you guys. We've never actually done this with 2 guests before. So how about you both give an answer? So here we go. Rapid fire question number 1. What do you hope people remember most about you? Ladd, you're up.
Family oriented.
Yeah. And I don't know if I always am, but I want people to remember me as kind, someone that was good to people.
Oh, those are great answers. What is a non-negotiable in your life?
Sleep.
Oh yeah, sleep is good. For me, it's nourishing food in our homes. We focus on foods that nourish our gut microbiome. My kids call their microbes the little guys. Focus on high quality proteins, healthy fats. Yeah, that food is our fuel.
Ooh, yes, yes, yes. If you were a professional athlete, what would your walk-up song be?
Eye of the tiger.
Okay, when you walk into the chip factory tomorrow, I want that blaring, okay?
Okay.
Mine would be We Are the Champions by Queen, because you got to manifest that win, you know?
Yes, I love this. What's the smartest thing that somebody's ever told you?
Well, one saying that I really like is if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I like that because it really talks about if you really want to go far in life, you got to do it with someone else.
I love that.
Yeah. And mine would be to question and think for yourself. That's gotten me far in life. Yeah.
I think that is absolutely vital. Okay, last question for you guys. Let's talk about favorite things. Is there a podcast or a program or a book or something, maybe a life hack that you just want to share? Something that's changed your life in some way and more people need to know about it? Aside from Roots Chips. Obviously, that is number 1.
Number 1, Roots Chips.
Well, my favorite podcast is Of the West. I really like the podcast. I did listen to some episodes. I think it's awesome, but I have a whole list of multiple podcasts that I listen to are revolved around agriculture. A lot of it is around like regenerative agriculture and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, share, because I know that we've got a lot of listeners who are focused on that. So share some of your favorites.
Okay. I also love like CPG. So CPG is like consumer packaged good podcasts, like how to grow your brand and stuff like that. So I love those as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. And for me, I've always been into self-help books and podcasts. And a year ago, I just decided to read more and listen to more audiobooks that were, stories. And I feel like it's really been uplifting for me and made my mind more creative, even when I have like so much going on. Making a little time for some stories and reading has really helped my mind. And yeah, I still listen to lots of podcasts, but I love anything that's like a period romance, like Pride and Prejudice type.
Ooh,
stuff.
yes.
Yes.
I bet that's Ladd's favorite too.
Yeah, that's Ladd's favorite too.
That book, yeah. I love I read more of like the self-help type books instead of fictional, like, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People or How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those are the type of books that I enjoy reading.
And books about soil. You read lots
of books about soil too. Yeah, that's true. Kind of a boring read.
No, but still, it's, very, very vital to obviously what you do and to the future of our industry. I think that obviously we know that we have a very limited amount of resources and we have to continue to really steward those and to do more with less as far as how we are going to continue to operate for ourselves and for our children and for their children. And so I love that agriculture has always been very focused on being stewards of and God's caretakers, for lack of a better phrase. But I think that really we are going to see a shift in that continued, how can we continue to make the earth better? Like, we're already doing a great job, but how can we make it even better than we have in the past? And so I love that. So I think that your soil books are very, very important.
Yeah. And one thing that I absolutely just love about regenerative agriculture is you can talk about a lot of the good stuff, like it's regenerating the soil and ecosystems and it's good for the planet and all that stuff. But all that stuff matters, but it doesn't matter as much as it matters the farmer's profitability and bottom line. That's really what it comes down to. So when I say regenerative agriculture, like if a farmer or a producer or a rancher, if they can minimize the cost of their inputs and be more profitable, why not do it? That's really what regenerative agriculture is about to me, is making it more profitable to the farmer and producer. And in the end, it has those external benefits as well, additional benefits. What's most important is, being a good steward and making sure that the farm or ranch continues to the next generation.
Oh, well, with that, you guys, I think that's a perfect way to end today's episode. Thank you guys so much for sitting down with us today. I really appreciate you both. I can't wait to see what is up your sleeves for Roots Chips, maybe like new flavors or other things that you guys are going to come out with. I was going to say, I can only imagine your minds are probably running wild and there's just not enough hours in the day. And I can't wait to see you guys continue. And you guys, for our listeners, don't forget, take a screenshot of your favorite part of today's episode or what resonated most with you. Tag us on your Instagram stories, tag Of the West, of course, tag Roots Chips. And then we're going to pick a winner and we'll connect with you to send you some chips. So thank you guys so much. You know that we'll find you back here next week with a brand new episode of Leaders of the West. Until then, we hope you have a great week and we'll see you then.
If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.